All right, everybody, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be quite a bit longer than most of my normal ones. This is probably going to hit about 45 minutes to an hour. But before I get into the video, guys, look, you guys are on it already. You guys are watching the video through YouTube. All you got to do, hit the subscribe button. We're at 25 subscribers. That's halfway to my goal of 50 that I want by the summer. I would love to get to way more than that. If we can get way more than that, I will be super happy. But also, I want to say a big thank you to you guys. You guys have officially gotten this video to 110 views. And not only that, I edited this video 3 days ago at work on Monday morning. I put it out as a joke to my man QB, my man Quincy Bell. You guys in 3 days have gotten this 237 views. That is more than double my other video that hit 100 views. That is by far the most viewed video on my channel. I appreciate you guys getting that there. That means a whole lot to me. That is going to be I mean, think about that. That's almost 250 views, guys. That's great. But make sure to keep it coming. Keep viewing it. I know I put a short out. It got 255 views. So that's awesome. But literally all you gotta do, hit the subscribe button. It's not hard. Like, that's all you gotta do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. You'll get notifications when I post videos. And this one we have today is gonna be a fun one. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and switch over. Let me get it up here. So today we have what I have been waiting to do a video on. We have NFL free agency. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me when I was going to do this video because I had mentioned it before about me doing an NFL free agency video, and I have been super pumped. Sorry, I was making sure everything was lined up so you guys can see it. And I have spent 3.5 hours today, guys, going through each individual roster, looking at every single team need that I feel each team needs, looking at all of their cap space, looking at all of the free agents. So, without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get into this. I probably... No, it's not what I wanted. No. Oh, crap. Yeah, no. I just want... Is there no way to zoom? I'm really confused. Sorry, guys. I don't know. Oh, here we go. The zoom. Let's go to... What do we think? 150? Here we go. There, now you guys should be able to see it really well. All right, so we're just going to go in order from most cap to least cap, okay? Now, I will also probably be talking about who I could see them taking in the draft, what I think they'll draft in the draft. So yeah, this video is going to be quite a bit long. If you watch all the way through it, I will very much appreciate that. Halfway through, I will have a keyword for you guys to comment, so I'll know who watches halfway through, and then I'll also have one at the end of the video for you guys to comment if you made it all the way through. If you do that, I will be very, very, very happy. Super pumped that you guys are starting to watch more of these videos. Now, without further ado, I'm going to stop rambling, and we're going to get right in to the entire NFL free agency. First off, the much anticipated team in this offseason, the Chicago Bears. Now, they have by far the most cap. They have $32 million more in cap than the second highest team. They have $98.84 million. All of this money is in millions. I didn't feel like putting million and everything at the end of everything. So, $98.84 million in cap. Now, after looking at their roster, they're set at QB. I don't care what anybody says. Justin Fields had a fantastic season as a rookie. He didn't even play the last 3 games, and he still almost broke Lamar's record of most rushing yards in a rookie season, or almost most rushing yards in a season. So, that's pretty impressive in my opinion. So, I think they're set at QB. Don't think they need a QB. I do think they need an O-line for Justin Fields. Justin Fields has been struggling all year, or he was struggling all season last year to have an O-line. He couldn't do anything but scramble. And I think that, you give him a good O-line, he'll be fine. I also think they need a receiver. I think that Darnell Moneyman Mooney is a great receiver. Equidigi St. Brown is a great receiver. But I think you just need a true number 1 or 2. Like, I think that Money Man Mooney can step up and be that one for you guys, but St. Brown, and I just don't know that they can, I don't think that he's as good as his brother. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a great, great receiver for the Lions. I just don't think that he's the same. I also think they need a DB. Now, their DB class is just non-existent. They don't really have any DBs that are standing out right now. I know they got Kyler Gordon. He was okay as a rookie, but like he wasn't amazing, right? He wasn't standing out. He wasn't doing anything that was saying, "Hey, this man's our future." So you need a cornerback. Also, you need a D line. You got rid of both Roquan and gosh, I knew I would forget somebody. Roquan Smith and oh my gosh, guys. Bears fans, go ahead and comment it down below. I know you're going to not forgive me for that one. But you've gotten rid of a lot of your defense. You've really, really hurt yourself with that. So you definitely need somebody to come off the end or even in the middle. You need a DT. You also need a linebacker, which is where I was going with earlier. You don't have Khalil Mack anymore. You don't really have a linebacking core. Now, you could also throw some other needs in there. I think you're okay with Steady Eddie. I think Eddie Jackson's okay. But you could do that. And I also think you could throw a running back in here. Khalil Herbert is great. I'm not sold on David Montgomery. David Montgomery is good, but I'm not sold. So I think you guys could do with a receiver. And I also think you guys could do with a running back just as like a late draft. Now, here are my predicted signings. I think that they can get Marcus Davenport. He is a young 26-year-old edge rusher who the New Orleans Saints can no longer afford. The New Orleans Saints have one of the worst cap in the league. I think that this would be a great signing for the Bears. He's young, 26 years old. He's a fast rusher. He's bigger, though, too. So he's got the strength. He can come off that edge and he can kind of fill in and help, especially in a league or in a division where you have a lot of those pocket passing QBs and Kirk Cousins, as of right now, Aaron Rodgers, and Jared Goff. You need somebody that can really pressure them and make them make bad throws or scramble, which they can't do very well. And I think he'll be a great pick there. Now, this next one, Bears fans, you should try and get him because he's one of the best coverage linebackers in the league. In my opinion, he is the best coverage linebacker in the league. Followed by a close second would be Bobby Wagner, which I thought about putting here. I just don't think you can afford both of them. But Lavonte David, the Bucs don't have cap space. They actually legitimately have the worst cap space in the league. They are the worst cap team right now, which we'll get to later. So you can get Lavonte David, unless the Bucs somehow franchise tag him, but I don't think they'll do that. They are a lot under the cap, so like franchising tagging him would just hurt them worse. Also, Caleb McGarry. McGarry would be a great pickup. He's a young OT. And also Mike McGlinchey. Also another great young 26-year-old offensive lineman. Both of these guys are great. I was going to put Orlando Brown in there, but I think the Chiefs will franchise tag him, which I'll talk about more later. So you've got these two great O-linemen, get a nice linebacker, get a good defensive end, and then lastly, you have Darnell Moneyman Mooney, who's a decent-sized receiver. You have St. Brown, who is a tall receiver. I say you need a burner. You need somebody who is agile. You need somebody who can really play and give you that speed, and that's where Mecole Hardman comes in. The Chiefs' cap is a little bit under. I don't think they're going to be able to re-sign him. They're going to be really focused on franchise tagging Orlando Brown, so I don't think they're going to re-sign Mecole Hardman, and he's a great receiver. He really is. He's injured. I think he's supposed to be good by the start of the season, so this is a great pickup if the Bears can get him. Overall, Bears have got a lot to work on. Bears can be really good this year. I think they'll also see, I think if they're smart, they really do consider that mock trade between the Panthers, which was they get Brian Burns, the 6th overall pick in this draft, and also a first-round pick in next draft, and a second-round pick in this draft. And the Panthers get their number 1 overall pick and a 3rd and a 4th round pick, I think, next year. So overall, the Bears win that trade easily. So that would be interesting to see. Second, a really interesting team to look at as well, the Atlanta Falcons. Now, They have a bit of cap to spend. Now, I put QB here for their team need. They have 66.72 million in cap. I put QB as their main need. They're probably not going to stick with Marcus Mariota. That's just the realism. I don't think they will. Do I think it's a decent choice? I think he was a solid QB this year, but I don't think they're going to stick with him. But they have a rookie. Well, he's no longer a rookie. He's now going into his second year by the name of Desmond Ridder, who I think could be a solid QB. Now, you'll never know until you give him a shot. I say play him through preseason. Let's see how that works out. You maybe draft a QB. I don't know. Feel free to draft a QB, but test out Desmond Ridder. He's a good QB. He played well in college. I think that he'll be a good fit for you guys, but you guys got to kind of explore that. Now, their next biggest need, in my opinion, easily, and again, some people disagree on this, but I think it's a wide receiver. They have Drake London, who is a beast, 6'6", 270 pounds, I think, and he's fast for a dude that size. He's a great receiver, but that's really the only target that he has. So they need a receiver, and that's where the predicted signings come in a minute. They also need a D-line, but I think they'll attack that in the draft. They could also do some corners. I don't think they have a lot of that, and also safeties. Their defense is struggling a little. I think they'll tackle a lot of that in trades or in the draft. But wide receivers, both Odell and Michael Thomas are going to be free agents. Okay, OBJ is already a free agent. Michael Thomas is on the Saints, but again, the Saints have horrible cap. They're not going to be able to afford him. They can't even afford Marcus Davenport, let alone Michael Thomas. So, the real question is, who is going to get Michael Thomas? And we'll talk about that in a minute. But overall, I would see Atlanta pursuing one of those two people. Now, or both of them, depending on if they want to get both. The Raiders. This is probably, besides the Bears, with who they can get with their cap, this is the most interesting team to look at in total. They now have gotten rid of Derek Carr. He's officially been released. They now are in desperate need of a quarterback. Overall, they're good at the receiver position. I think both Hunter Renfrow and Davante Adams. Davante is definitely your number one. And Hunter Renfrow is not a bad slot receiver. I mean, he's not. And you've also got Darren Waller, who, didn't have a good season, but he also, none of the team really had a good season except Davante. So we'll give him a break on that.
Oh, excuse me, guys.
Sorry. Anyway, so you need a QB though, and we'll talk about that in a second. That's pretty. I feel like I'm pretty confident on who their QB is going to be, but they also need some corners. They don't have any corners. I don't know that they'll attack corners in free agency just because of who I think they're getting for the QB. They're going to want to pay him money because they're going to have to trade, and his cap is probably going to take up all of their cap. So that'll be interesting to see. They also need an O-line. Derek Carr had a lot of issues when it came to, being able to stay in the pocket. His O-line didn't really give him as much time as he needed to throw the ball all the time. So we'll see how that ends up going. And then, of course, I think they've got Chandler Jones, but I think that another linebacker to help complement, maybe even to go off the edge, an edge rusher, would be pretty nice. And that also brings me to a DT. I think that they have great rushers on the edge, right? Well, at least one with Max Crosby. You get another one on the edge there with a linebacker, and then you get a couple DTs. That D-line will be disgusting. But that'll probably be... Holy crap, guys. I don't know why I'm yawning so much right now. That'll probably be something they attack in the draft. Now, for their predicted signings, Aaron Rodgers is not a free agent. I understand that. But he will be traded for. I don't think he goes to He does not want to stay in Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't want him. He either retires or he gets traded. And I say predicted signings because they're still going to sign him. I think Aaron Rodgers goes to Las Vegas. Davante wants him. The Raiders fan base wants him. He doesn't want to go to Green Bay. He's already said he doesn't want to go play in San Francisco, which I don't know why he would anyway. They're fine. Brock Purdy is a great quarterback. I could totally see him going to New York, the Jets. I don't think the Jets want him as much as they let on, and I don't think most people want him to go there. Um, it's not going to be a good fit for them. I've been saying this since the beginning. I think that he's going to have a lot of great receivers to throw to if he goes there, but you know, he's just not the right scheme fit for them. I think Derek Carr would be, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But what I am going to say, I'm going to move this a little bit because I realize it's up a little higher there. Maybe. Oh, no, it's too low. There we go. But what I will say, crap, sorry guys, is I think Aaron Rodgers would be a great fit for Las Vegas. He's got Darren Waller, he's got Hunter Renfrow, he's got Devontae Adams. They get him a decent line, he could be a real threat there. Now we move on to my team, the New York Giants. Fourth most cap at $43.15 million. I'm excited, but here is the things we need. We 100% need a cornerback, a CB, okay? We have Adoree Jackson. We've got Fabian Monroe. But to be realistic, I don't think that we are going to see too much of, those two being able to carry, especially now that we're going to see receivers, A.J. Brown. We've got Devontae Smith. You obviously have Dalton Schultz, who as of right now is still in the NFC East. You've got CeeDee Lamb. You've got all these great receivers that are going to be going, Terry McLaurin. We need to have a full cornerbacking crew. And right now, we don't have that. So, I would definitely say that that's a big need. We also need receivers. Now, we have good receivers, but we are letting Sterling Shepard go. He's been injury prone. Isaiah Hodgins has had a great season. Glad we re-signed him. I also feel that we already traded for Kadarius Toney. We traded Kadarius Toney away, which I kind of hated. I think Kadarius Toney is a good receiver, but we did it when we needed to. And congrats to him on a Super Bowl. But overall, I don't think we have a bad team. Obviously, we still got Richie James, who had a great rookie year. But I think we just need that true number one. If we can get a really good number one, I'd be really happy with that. And we also need a linebacker. Our man, shout out to Indiana's very own Micah McFadden, who is a Giants linebacker. He's played decent when he played this year, but we don't have a true superstar linebacker right now. Kayvon Thibodeaux is really more of a edge rusher. He's listed. He was technically listed as a left outside linebacker, but if you look on the roster, he's listed as a DE. So he plays that. Oh my gosh, I can never pronounce his name correctly. You guys are gonna have to give me a second to look this up because if I butcher his name, I'm gonna honestly feel horrible. Because I always butcher his name. I just have to look at it to spell it. Give me a second. Roster. Sorry. If I do it wrong, I will feel horrible about it. So yeah, Kayvon Thibodeaux, and then of course, here it is. Azeez Ojulari is how you technically say it. I'm pretty sure his last name is. I knew it was Azeez, but Ojulari I think is how you say it. If I butchered it, I'm sorry. There are certain names that are just very hard to pronounce. But anyway, yeah. And our D line, honestly, I like it. Leonard Williams is a great player. Obviously, we've got the one, the only, the absolute beast, Sexy Dexy, and Dexter Lawrence. Absolute monster. So I think we've got a good thing going there. Obviously, we had Dane Belton as our safety. I really liked him. He was a great rookie. But we do have some corners too. I'm not sitting here saying we don't. Like I said, Fabian Monroe, Adoree Jackson was great, but we really need. We've got Darnay Holmes, but he plays more of that safety position for us in certain sets, right? We've got Julian Love, Landon Collins, but we really just want to spread it out. We want to get a true amazing corner, which we're not going to do, if I'm being realistic with you, probably in free agency. And that brings me to this. We also need an O-line. I would say, we've got Evan Neal. We've got some really good players, but we need to just kind of fill in the gaps. We need some more experience. And I also feel that we need a QB because we don't. I say this because I don't know if Daniel Jones is staying. Daniel Jones had a good year this year. I enjoyed that he kind of started to come out, but is he the one? And that's what we're getting to. Personally, as much as I hate to say it, I think the Giants will indeed re-sign Daniel Jones. And the reason I know that I'm contradicting myself, considering I just said that I wouldn't mind him staying. The reason I say this is because he wants almost $44 million a year to stay on the team, which would bust our cap. Like that, we wouldn't be able to re-sign Saquon, and we wouldn't be able to pretty much do anything else. And that's my thing. I think that he need to sign both of them, but I don't think they need as much money. I want them both to stay. Saquon is, in my opinion, right now, after the season he just had, the best running back in the league. I'm sorry. I know people are going to say that's bias, and I know that Nick Chubb had a great season, but I feel like Saquon carried his team to a playoff. Nick Chubb didn't. You know, I think that overall Saquon had the best season, just in my opinion, just based on the look of everything. And also, I think the Giants will attempt to get OBJ back. Now, again, do I think he'll come? No. I think he's kind of done with his time in New York. He didn't have a good experience, and I can't blame him. Though then again, he also was the cause of lots of those issues. But I wouldn't mind bringing him back. We need that tall. He's a good receiver. He played well, and he proved to be good for us. That brings me to the New England Patriots. 36.41 in cap. They are the fifth team. They really need a wide receiver, O-line, D-line, and cornerbacks. They got rid of Gilly Lock a while ago. They really don't have any corners that can really stick with a lot of these receivers. They need receivers. Jacoby Myers is now gone. They really don't. Aguilar has not been playing fantastic. They don't have very many weapons for Mac Jones to throw to. They also need an O-line. Mac Jones has not been doing good. Will they stick with Mac Jones is the question, though. I don't know. Also, they need a D-line. It's non-existent, and we'll talk about that here in just now. For predicted signings, Michael Thomas is at the top of the list. If they're smart, they attempt to go for him. He's a great receiver. He just hasn't had, ever since Drew Brees left, he just hasn't had anything. Nobody's really been able to do much with him, and I think that kind of sucks. Donovan Tomlinson, that would be a great DT for them to pick up. I think that, that'll help their line. That'll end up helping them kind of add more depth at that position. Obviously, I think that they should re-sign Isaac Seumalo. Not Seumalo. Oh, I cannot speak today. Seumalo, and whether or not they will be interesting to see. He's a really good offensive lineman for him, and he's played decent, and they kind of need to keep that. Now to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're $36.23 million. Now their biggest need, in my opinion, is corner. They really have lost a lot of people. Eli Apple is going to be gone. They really don't have any depth there, and that's why I think that they pick up the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Jamal Dean. They have the cap to sign him, give him the money he needs, get that depth on your defense. Your offense is perfectly fine. The only thing you need on offense, in my opinion, is a little bit better of an O-line to help protect Joe Burrow. That was your biggest issue against the Chiefs, was honestly the ability for them to be able to get to Joe Burrow in certain downs. Get an O-line, and I think that that'll be great. That is something I would attack in the draft, though. There's too many other teams that have more money than you that need an O-line that are going to be willing to pay more. Also, I think you need to re-sign Jessie Bates. Re-sign him. You need a safety. He's a great safety. He's young. He's only 25, 26. Keep him. Don't let him go to another team. I also think you need a linebacker. That is probably something you also attack in the draft, maybe a small trade, or wait until free agency is, like, the big free agents are over, and just kind of see if you can pick up one for cheap. Now, on to the Houston Texans. They have a bright future. Derek Stingley is good. I don't know whether you stick with Davis Mills. That is to be seen. I mean, they have the second overall pick in the draft right now. They probably go with a quarterback, in my opinion, but we will 100% see. They need receivers. Brandon Cooks is going to go. I think he actually already went. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I'm not sure. In the comments down. So we'll definitely see about that. But I say in free agency, again, they're not going to be able to get very many O-linemen. I would say most of the D linemen are going to be taken by other teams that are going to need them probably a little bit more. And I also feel like the O linemen are going to be taken. So I would attack wide receiver. There are some good wide receivers in there. Jacoby Myers is a good receiver.
Oh my lord.
Oh, sorry. Jacoby Myers is a good receiver. And honestly, Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard is not going to be back in Green Bay. He's not. They're not going to pay him. He doesn't want to be there. So why even mess with that? So honestly, if I'm being realistic here, go at both of them. Alan Lazard is a 6'5" receiver. He's a good, solid receiver. And Jacoby Myers is also, I want to say Jacoby Myers is maybe 6 foot and he's a decent receiver. So you've got lots of opportunities to fill in those holes at receiver that you really haven't gotten weapons for. You've got Derek Stingley, you've got some great corners. Don't mess with that. Focus on your offense right now. Now, for the Ravens, they've got $25.98 million in cap. I put QB last as their need. Okay, that is because I figure I'm like dead split whether or not they're going to get rid of Lamar or not. If they're smart, they're going to franchise tag him for 1 year. Obviously, they don't have the cap to pay him what he wants. What he wants is absolutely ridiculous. Like, ridiculous. He wants, what was it, $250 million over 6 years. So it evens out to be like $60 million a year. I mean, it's something ridiculous. Like, I thought Daniel Jones was asking for a lot. It's pretty bad. He just wants so much. They franchise tag him. I want to say it's $18,000 for 1 year is what the cap hit would be. So it's nothing major. I mean, well, it is, but like they have that. They have that, so that'd be fine. Also think they need a receiver. Obviously, they got rid of Hollywood Brown. They've got Rashad Bateman. They've got Devin Duvernay. They've got some decent targets, but maybe try to get a little bit more size in there. Obviously, they're set at tight end with Mark Andrews. Their O-line has gotten so good over the last year. I think that they're okay there. I think they can pick up someone, but they don't need to. I think that they 100% need to attack safety. They did get Kyle Hamilton, but there's really not someone that I'm just so confident is going to help them. So Lamar Jackson, they need to franchise tag him. They need to franchise tag him. And then, of course, Jadeveon Clowney, which I think is a good signing for them. They need an edge rusher. Calais Campbell is, I don't know, did he retire? He was on the fence. They have JPP. So just add a couple edge rushers in there. Let him go to work. Let him help your team a little bit. The Browns released him, so that'll be interesting. Now, Seattle has a lot of things I think they just need to tighten up. I don't think that they're bad. I think they just need to tighten them up. I don't think they're going to attack a lot of free agency, though. They just don't have the cap that these teams up here have to attack a lot of the players they need. So they need an O-line. They need to help protect Geno, and that's what I'm going to say here. Geno needs to be re-signed. Geno had a good season. You traded away Russell to get a bunch of picks. Use it to surround him with good players. Or take a late QB. Like, don't take a QB with your number 1 overall pick. You could get such better players. You need a corners. You just need to kind of tighten things up. You probably should start looking at a receiver too. I don't know how much longer DK is going to stay there. Tyler Lockett is a good receiver, but does he want to stay there? So there's a lot of questions up in the air about that. Linebacker, obviously, you don't have Bobby Wagner anymore. You really need to focus on linebacker, possibly. You're good at running back. Gosh, I cannot speak today, guys. Kenneth Walker is a fantastic running back. He had a monster rookie season. And you also, I would say, you need to focus a little bit on the D line. You really don't have a D line. You need help there. Now I'm gonna move through some of these a little bit quicker because I know that I haven't hardly gotten through anything. I'm already at 30 minutes. Like it's been 30 minutes. I've only gotten through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams, and there's 32 teams. All right, the Detroit Lions. Now they're sitting at 23.13 in cap. The Seahawks, I said 24. I think I don't know if I told you guys that. The 23.13 mil in cap. Obviously, if I'm the Detroit Lions, I attack an O-line, but again, they don't have the cap, and I don't think that they're going to be able to sign a lot of the bigger OTs and stuff like that are going to be able to get them the linemen that they need. So I would just kind of gloss over that. Next biggest need, in my opinion, you need a linebacker, and that is where I say this. Bobby Wagner is on the free agent list. He's a great coverage linebacker. You're going to be playing against Justin Fields. You're going to be playing against Kirk Cousins at this moment. And you're technically at this moment playing against Aaron Rodgers. You need a good coverage linebacker. And he played in Seattle. In my opinion, he was the best coverage linebacker. He didn't have a great season in LA last year, but that was also because that team just didn't really know what to do. So that wasn't entirely his fault, in my opinion. So what I would suggest, they pick up Bobby Wagner. He can also be that zone. He can be that QB spy against Justin Fields. It would be a great pickup for them. Also, I think they re-signed DJ Chark. DJ Chark is a good receiver. You already have your 1 and 2, in my opinion. You have Jamison Williams, and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Re-sign DJ Chark, just have a solid receiving core, and I think you'll be okay. The Commanders. Biggest need, they did just release Carson Wentz. So, they have 16.5 in cap. You can stick with Taylor Heinicke if you want. Or, in my opinion, you also need a tight end, a cornerback. I think you need to get a little bit of an O-line. I think you need to get some more receivers. You do have Jalen Dotson, or not Jalen Dotson. No, I was right. Dotson from Penn State. You also have Scary Terry and Terry McLaurin. But I'd say maybe attack a third receiver, a third solid receiver. But if I'm the Commanders, I look at Jimmy G. The 49ers are not going to pay him, I don't think. If they do, I'll be very shocked. They've got Brock Purdy. They've also still got Trey Lance. They could just sit him as a backup. I think that rather than pay Jimmy Garoppolo, 18 to $20 million a season, you could sit Trey Lance on the bench and have him be a solid backup for maybe $3 or $4 million a year, maybe a little bit more. But the Commanders could do with a solid veteran quarterback, until they can figure things out there. So that would be a good signing, in my opinion. Also, either Dalton Schultz or Mike Gesicki. You need a tight end. You don't really have a tight end. You got some decent weapons, but you need a tight end. Dalton Schultz, both him and Mike Gesicki are on the block. So, either one of those. I think you also need a corner or an O-lineman. Now, the Cardinals are a little interesting for me. D-Hop is possibly not coming back. I don't know how that's going to play out. So, you got 12.72 in cap. I say you attack a receiver. If I'm being realistic. You've got Hollywood Brown, who's a great receiver. Marquise Brown is great. But you may be losing D-Hop. I also think you need a little bit better of an O-line to protect Kyler Murray when he comes back. He can't just be scrambling all the time. He is a scrambler, but he needs to be able to run design runs, not every time he gets the snap, he has to scramble out of the pocket. You also need a D-line. Obviously, they just lost J.J. Watt, so they're going to need to fill some positions. They also need a cornerback, in my opinion. They've got Budda Baker, who plays the safety, though. He can play corner, but really, you need some true corners. I think that that's going to help you a lot. Now, again, the Chiefs are running low on cap. They're already in the negatives. They probably are not re-signing Juju. I think the Cardinals could get Juju Smith-Schuster. I think it's a decent signing. He had a good season. He won a Super Bowl. Yeah, was he the reason they won the Super Bowl? No, it was Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But he's a solid receiver, so it wouldn't be a bad signing for them. Now this team, I hate this team so much because they literally traded everything for a QB that has done nothing. The Denver Broncos sitting at 12.24 in cap. I put O-line 3 times here. I don't know if you also see that. Because this is literally the biggest reason they were losing every game. They could not give Russell Wilson more than 3 seconds, not even. 1.5 to 2 seconds to throw the ball. He would get the snap. They didn't even have time to run the routes before he had to throw that ball. Get an O-line. Re-sign Cameron Fleming. He was a good O-line. He was one of the few good linemen on their team. And sign Taylor Lewan. He was released by the Titans. Yes, he's 33. He's older, but he's a veteran. Let him help that team out until you can rebuild. You don't have hardly any draft picks this year, at all, especially in the first round. So you definitely need to try to figure out what you can do with what you've got. I say you really need to think about a safety. You got Patrick Surtain at corner, so I think you're okay. You may want to think about maybe getting some lower corners, but you need a D line as well, and you need some linebackers. Like you got rid of Bradley Chubb. You really don't have any linebacking core. You also don't have Vaughn anymore. So you got to think about that. Now, on to the Indianapolis Colts. 11.99 in cap. I think their biggest needs, as it has been for the past 4 years, they need a quarterback. They've gone from Philip Rivers to Matt Ryan to Felipe Franks. They're just all over the place. Draft a QB. If I'm being realistic, I would draft. People again are not going to like this statement. I don't care. I would draft Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida. He's a dual threat quarterback, which is nice because I always say this, if you have imagine a running back, like imagine Lamar was on the Colts, right? That kind of dual threat, right? And JT in the backfield. Right now on the Ravens, don't get me wrong, J.K. Dobbins is a good running back. He's been solid for the Ravens. But if they see the read option, most likely they're going to go, yeah, Lamar is keeping this. That's just the most obvious thing. But if you have Lamar and JT in the backfield, they're not going to be able to commit because they're like, well, if we commit to Lamar, Jonathan Taylor is one of the most explosive running backs in the league. But if we say, oh, no, he's definitely given up, Lamar is one of the most, I guess, agile and elusive players in the league. So imagine having a quarterback that can run that kind of read option offense with Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. So draft him. I also think you need a D line. And that's where I think they also possibly tried to bid on Marcus Davenport. That would be interesting. They also need a cornerback, and I think a safety and a receiver would be good. So I think they also try to put in a bid for Jamel Dean. I think that would be an interesting bid. I am a big advocate. Look, I live near Indy. I grew up an Indianapolis fan for a while.
Oh, sorry.
I also know a little bit about this team's roster. You have some good receivers. You have Michael Pittman. You have Kiki QT. You also need to re-sign my man Paris Campbell. Yeah, he had an injury early in his career. He was out for a while. He hasn't been as explosive as he was before, but he is one of the best route runners I've seen. He is very explosive. He's very agile. Re-sign him. Give him some chances. He hasn't had a quarterback that can really throw anything. Matt Ryan sucks. I said that was a bad trade from the beginning. And all my friends that are Colts fans at the beginning of the season that were saying, "Oh, we have a legitimate chance to make it to the playoffs." No, you didn't. Everybody knew you didn't. It makes no sense. He's not a good quarterback anymore. So re-sign Paris Campbell. That's all I'm saying. Now, the Titans, they're also running into some cap issue. They have 9.97. They need a receiver. Traylon Burks is great, but they just released Robert Wood for some odd reason. They traded away AJ Brown. They also need an O-line. They just got rid of, like I just said, they just got rid of Taylor Lewan. They need an O-line. They also need a D-line. Jeffrey Simmons has been playing good, but you need to kind of balance that out. Safety, you got Amani Hooker. You look good there, but you still need a little bit of a safety. Corners, I think they're okay. Amani Hooker plays a little bit more of the corner position sometimes, but you got Caleb Farley. I think you got a decent line there. And I also, what did I say? Oh, safety, yeah. And I also say you need a linebacker. You really don't have any depth there. So that'll be interesting to see. In my opinion, Darius Slayton is also a free agent from the Giants. I say you possibly sign him. Put a bid in for him. Not very many teams are going to do that. Darius Slayton is a decent, solid receiver. I think he would go there. Now, Jarvis Landry is also a free agent from New Orleans, who has, once again, no cap space. If I'm being realistic, I say you put in a bid for Jarvis Landry. He's a solid receiver. He could do a little bit for you, just enough to do, kind of help you guys along. Now, the Green Bay Packers. They've got 5.89 in cap. If they trade away Aaron Rodgers, they should have about 45 million in cap because of his salary. Now, I think there would be a hit, so it would be maybe 40 to 35, but still, If they do that, they will have a bit of money. They'll jump up to one of the higher cap teams. Now, if I'm them, you obviously noticed that Aaron Rodgers was struggling because he has nobody to throw the ball to. Christian Watson, absolute stud. Love that guy. He's a beast. 6'5", super fast, super agile. He's going to be, an up and coming prodigy. Now, I think you still need a couple receivers. Alan Lazard is leaving. There are a couple guys that are leaving. One, Michael Thomas. You could attempt to pull him. Odell Beckham. You could attempt to get OBJ. But I also think you need a corner. Your corner situation is not good. You have to cut a lot of your defense last year to make room for Aaron Rodgers' contract because you thought that was more important than a team. For some odd reason, I don't know what the thought is there. It's probably your cheesehead speaking. But Patrick Peterson is a free agent from the Vikings. I think that's not a bad signing. I think you can get away with that, especially considering he's an older veteran and he can help. Now, we're almost to the end, guys. Again, I apologize. I know this is a longer video. This is going to push an hour. There's still quite a few more teams, though. Some of them I don't have any signings for, so we're almost done with the signings list. Okay. Next, San Francisco. They've got $2.52 million in cap. They've got a cornerback. I think they need a cornerback. I think they need a safety, and I think they need a defensive tackle. Now, out of who's probably going to be here with the amount of cap they have, I say that they could put a bid in for Jordan Poyer. He is a free agent from the Bills this year. I don't think the Bills are going to franchise tag him. They don't have the cap to re-sign him. So we'll see where that ends up going. I think that'd be a good pickup, just something small for the 49ers to help that depth. They don't really need anything on offense. They've got George Kittle. They've got Brandon Ayuk. They've got Deebo Samuel. I think their running backs are pretty good with Elijah Mitchell. They can put Deebo there. Brock Purdy is great. Their O-line has been pretty doggone good. They don't need any outside help. They've got Nick Bosa has been amazing. But their cornerbacking crew, Denzel Ward is really good. And they've got a couple of good people, but I think they could do with a little bit more help in that area. Now, the Eagles are in trouble here. They're not really in trouble, but they do need to re-sign a couple people. They have a $1.11 million cap. In my opinion, you need a running back, so I would say keep, especially to run that read option, you need a running back that's a threat. They need to keep Miles Sanders. I didn't put it here because I don't think they're going to. They're probably going to re-sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because he had such a good year. He was a great trade between the Saints and the Eagles. It was a good pickup. It was when they were making lots of moves. They got A.J. Brown. They did a lot of things right. I think it was a good pickup overall for them. Now, sorry, I'm making sure this is upright. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, I think they'll re-sign him. Now, Andre Dillard, they also need to re-sign him. That'll be a great O-line re-signing. And you need to franchise tag, at least for 1 year, Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox, he helped a lot on that D-line. He prevented a lot of big runs, especially against Saquon and a lot of these elite runners. You definitely need to keep him. If that means franchise tag him, franchise tag him. Now, Miles Sanders did come out and say, hey, you should keep me. And Miles Sanders wants to stay in Philly, but they just don't have the money. And it will be interesting to see what they do. I did think it was funny. A.J. Brown practically came out and said, you get rid of Jalen Hurts, you might as well just get rid of me. So that isn't happening. We already all know that. Now for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have the first negative cap of the day. They have negative $328,000 in cap. They're not signing any free agents. They just don't have anything. They need receivers, I would say. They've got George Pickens, who is going to be a great up-and-coming player. They got rid of Juju. They really just don't have a lot of depth there. They need an O-line. They need to help protect Kenny Pickett as he plays. They need a D-line. Gordon Hayward is, not going to be around too much longer. So we'll see how that. Not Gordon Hayward. Oh my gosh, Cameron Hayward. So we'll see how that goes. They also need corners. They don't have anybody. Like, really, they don't. They need some good corners. And I also think they need a safety. But the problem is they don't have the cap. I think they'll attack this in the draft. Sorry, guys. And there's not really anybody I think that's going to want to trade with them. There's not much that they have that people are going to want, except for TJ Watt. And they're not going to get rid of TJ Watt. Sorry, guys. I was looking. I thought somebody sent me a text. Now, on to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to need receivers. They're probably going to lose Juju and Mecole Hardman. They're going to need to attack that in the draft. Yeah, they still got some decent receivers. Obviously, they've got Kadarius Toney, who had a good season. They've got Sky Moore, who had a good season. But they're going to need some receivers. They're at negative 473,000 in cap. Now, they also need an O-line. Keep Patrick Mahomes protected. Franchise tag Orlando Brown. Franchise tag him. That's literally, you don't have the cap. You're good on Mahomes. You've got Kelsey. You don't need to re-sign really many people. Franchise tag him. You need to keep that O-line. You also are going to need a D-line. You got Chandler, or you've got Chris Jones. You need to kind of just make sure you get a draft pick that can help him out there. You also need corners. That was killing you guys. And that's going to continue to kill you guys if you guys can't get more corners. Oh, my Lord. Oh, I'm yawning like crazy, guys. I apologize. And they also need a safety. They lost Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, and they just haven't recovered from that. Now, on to the New York Jets at negative 1.11 in cap. Their main needs, obviously, are QBs, and they are QB. They also need a D-line, in my opinion. They also need a safety and a good tight end. Now, they could get rid of Zach Wilson. That'll open up a little bit of cap. They also could probably strike a trade to get a little bit more cap space. And then they should sign Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a great fit. You're going to have somebody who is the leading passer in Raiders history. All of these, he has all these awards in Oakland, or Las Vegas now. And he's a good quarterback. He's got experience. I don't know why people hate on him. But you're going to have him. Holy, guys. I don't know why I am so tired right now. You're going to have him coming in, throwing to people like Garrett Wilson, who is a great receiver right now. You've got Elijah Moore. So you've got some decent players that can really come in, and we'll kind of see how they play together. And I think that having Derek Carr in the backfield will be good. You just need to get him a little bit of protection, and you also need to have help on the defense. Get him a good tight end. We'll see kind of who they sign. I wouldn't be shocked if they try to go after Mike Gesicki, Evan Ingram, somebody like that. Now, the Panthers, they need a QB. And this is where I think they could also bid on Aaron Rodgers. There was an article that came out today that said that the Panthers are now willing to talk trades about Aaron Rodgers, which I think is interesting. They also need some more receivers. I don't think that they got rid of Robbie Anderson, obviously, who is now a Cardinal, who I forgot to mention. He's also a decent receiver. They need receivers. Oh my Lord. They need receivers. They've got DJ Moore, but that's really about it. They need an O-line to help protect whoever their QB is going to be. They also need a D-line. They've really got nobody. Brian Burns is good, but other than that, you don't got a lot. And then you also need corners. You don't have Gilly Lock anymore. You gave them to the Colts. They just really need to rebuild a lot. Now, nearing the home stretch, let's talk about my least favorite team ever, the Dallas Cowboys. They are currently sitting at negative 7.49 in cap. Their main needs right now, I would say, is receiver and safety. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb's good, and I just don't see that they have a complete receiving core. I'll also say that they need a safety. They don't really have anybody that's super, super deadly in the secondary. They got Trevon Diggs, and they've got some other really good players that I feel are going to be good, but they need that more deep secondary. I don't think they're going to sign anybody in free agency. They're way too below the cap bar. They're probably going to lay off. Now, the rest of these teams are going to lay off. I'm not going to lie. They're not going to sign anybody in the offseason, probably. I will just kind of tell you their cap and what I think they need. Good Lord. Now, we'll just kind of speed run these because I'm already almost at an hour. The Jacksonville Jaguars. They're minus 12.45 in cap. They're set on QB right now. I think they got some good receivers. They're pretty good on offense. They need a little bit of help on the O line, maybe some D line help. They also are going to need some cornerbacking help, and they're also going to need a safety. Defense is the main focus for the Jaguars, if I'm being realistic, as of right now. Now, the Los Angeles Rams, they're negative 14.2 in cap. They lost Andrew Whitworth. They are probably. Sorry, oh my lord. I need to find a way to just like not yawn. Um, they are probably gonna maybe trade Stafford. I don't know what that's gonna do. I don't know when they're gonna do that. What's gonna happen? Also, um, they need an O line. They need help there. So they also need corners. Listen, they're thinking of dealing Jalen Ramsey to free up cap. I don't hate that. Jalen Ramsey didn't have a great season last year. He also, ever since that rough Super Bowl where Jamar Chase just cooked him, I would say that, you know, he's kind of fallen off, which is, I can honestly see him going to the Bears. It'd be an interesting signing for them. Um, but they also need a safety. Tyler Rapp is not the best. They also need a defensive end. They've got Aaron Donald in the middle, but that's all. You know, they had Von Miller, and you had to help on both ends, right? You couldn't just definitively help on Aaron Donald. Well, now they can. He didn't do much this year because they just double teamed him and triple teamed him. So, there was literally, oh my lord, there was literally nothing they could do. They didn't have that edge rusher. They really need help on the edge. The Cleveland Browns, they need an O line. They've got Deshaun Watson. I think he'll eventually start to get back into the groove. He'll be an okay quarterback. Um, Not going to get into that situation, but they also need some corners. Denzel Ward on this team. It'll be interesting to see about that if he continues to play well for them. They need some receivers. They've got Amari Cooper, but other than that, they really need to kind of help give Deshaun more weapons. They also need a linebacker and the safety. They need to just help in both those general areas. Now, the Dolphins. The Dolphins. They need a QB. I'm sorry. Teddy Bridgewater has been a good backup, but Tua is done. Tua's had too many injuries. He's very injury prone. You don't want to risk his health as a human either. Like, he could possibly not even be able to play football anymore if he keeps getting hurt like this. And they made bad business decisions to continue to play him throughout the season when he was obviously injured. And the doctors were being shady about it. And I don't think that that was okay. I think this organization needs to be heavily, like, I guess you could say just made fun of for this, because I don't think that's okay. I think that player health comes before anything else. Now, the Buffalo Bills at negative 18.73, they really could just use with a solid running back. Devin Singletary is okay. They've obviously got Nyheim Hines now, but I think that they could get a running back, it would be pretty helpful. Also, probably some good corners, just an extra corner or so. A linebacker. Obviously, Vaughn is more of a rusher, but also get help in that defensive line. I think that Von Miller is good, but you need to kind of, again, it's like that Aaron Donald situation. They're double teaming him, right? You got to help out. Matt Milano, I don't know, will stay there, so that's why you need help with the linebacking core. The Los Angeles Chargers, keep Justin Herbert. Even if you got a franchise tag him, keep Justin Herbert. It's not hard. Get him an O-line. Help out on the defense after that. He's got good receivers. Austin Eckler is good. You literally just need to get him an O-line. Let him go to work. You've got why can I not speak? You've got Keenan Allen. You've got Mike Williams. You've got Guyton. You've got some good receivers. You're fine. You got Anthony Everett. No, not Anthony Everett. Who's their tight end now? Oh gosh. I can't even think off the top of my head. Personally, darn it, I thought I was going to make it. Personally, the Chargers, yeah, they just need an O-line, keep Justin Herbert. The Vikings at negative 20.19. You need help in the cornerback position. You're losing Patrick Peterson. You need help. You need an O-line. Kirk Cousins needs a little bit more protection. You also need a linebacking core. Now, I know that Kendricks is a good linebacker, but he's can't do it all on his own. He needs a little bit of help there. Also, I think you draft a quarterback. I love Captain Kirk. I think he's good, but he can't clutch up in the playoffs. Even if you ride Captain Kirk through the season and then put in somebody else to run you through the playoffs, you have enough talent to do it. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Kendricks. You've got a lot of talent. Don't waste it. You know, it would be pretty terrible to see that. Now, the Saints at negative 29.97 in cap, they need a QB. Jameis Winston is not it. Neither is Taysom Hill. Neither is any of these guys. They need to get a quarterback who I think they could possibly think about going for. Derek Carr. Could I see them making big trades? Yes, I put they're not going to sign anybody just because they don't have cap. It's bad. They also need some receivers. They're losing Michael Thomas. They're also losing Jarvis Landry. They need somebody to be able to throw the ball to. They also need an O-line. They obviously lost a couple guys last year. They also need a D-line. Again, Cameron is good, but he can't carry the whole load on his own. Cam Jordan is good, but he can't carry all that. They also need a couple linebackers. That'll definitely help them out. And finally, to wrap this up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at negative 57.02. They need a QB. Pretty self-explanatory. You lose Tom Brady, you lose the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. You're going to need a replacement, and you're going to need one quick. They made the mistake of not drafting a QB at any point in time that could be a suitable replacement. You should have drafted one or even just brought in a backup that could learn under him for a year or so and replace him when he left. Now you're left staring at, I think Ian Book is who their quarterback is as of right now. It's either Ian Book or no, it's Kyle Trask is as of right now. I think they're QB. So that's a problem. You also need some corners. You lost Jamel Dean. You really don't have any help there. You also need linebackers. I didn't put that in there. You lost Levante David. Yeah, the Bucs are in a lot of trouble right now. They're going to have to start the rebuild. They lost Jameis Winston a long time ago. They started the rebuild. Finally got to the Super Bowl. They won one, but you need to start the rebuild now. So I know this is a long video. I know that was a lot. I know I went through everything, and I like doing this. I like looking at this stuff. I like kind of seeing what all's going on. Now I will do I will start here in the next probably week or two, start doing mock drafts. I like to start those early because they are super interesting to look at, kind of see what picks are going to be traded around, see what prospects I'm putting where. Those will change on a weekly basis. But overall, this is just looking solely at free agents, what I'm seeing team by team. I love to talk about this stuff. This stuff is probably some of my favorite thing about anything sports related. I love the NFL free agency stuff. It's super, super fun. So go back, watch certain areas, watch where your favorite team was. Tell me, do you agree with me? Do you think there are certain things that you guys need that you're seeing from a fan perspective? Who do you think's getting signed? Let me know what you guys think. Also, make sure to leave a comment. I forgot the word in the middle, but if you watched here till the end, put the word, let's just go with, I don't know. You know what? My favorite, put G-Men for my New York Giants, the G-Men, okay? Put that in the comments if you watched all the way through. Appreciate you guys watching if you did. But also in the comments, let me know, what's your favorite team? Who do you think your biggest signing should be? If your team is one of the teams that's considering a big trade, let me know. Do you agree with it? And also, I am going to be starting a new mini series on my channel where I'm going to have videos dedicated to just one topic that you guys recommend. Also, if you guys want to be a part of the video, you are always welcome to join. I can do video calls. If you are here on campus with me and you know me, we can do a mini video. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about those. And I think that's going to be all for this video. So once again, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. A Bloomington Buddies episode will be up tomorrow. So we will do that. And yeah, until my next video, guys, appreciate you guys watching. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, guys.